and then I'm gonna let everybody in. Hello.
Morning.
Good morning. You know, I'm never a fan of Mondays, but I feel like when we can all come together on a Monday morning, then it makes it a little better. So thank you for being here. Ryan, I'm glad you could join us again today. I think in good fashion, maybe we'll just give it until about 11:02. That way everybody can get logged in and join the conversation.
Yeah, just let me know when you're ready.
Perfect. I was confused because that's my screen too. And I was like, I don't remember sharing my screen. I think I need more coffee. All right, I have let everyone in that has been in the waiting room, and I know that we have a lot to cover today, so I think we can go ahead and get started. So once again, just for notice, I do have this recording. That way we can upload it and rewatch it at a later time, but I appreciate each of you being here, choosing to be here on this Monday morning and helping me welcome Ryan from Virtual Job Shadow to go over the platform that we will utilize for the older kiddos. I know 2 weeks ago we went over and we had Ryan review the Virtual Job Shadow Junior platform, and we've had great success from that. I've heard from a lot of you. I see a lot of you utilizing that resource. So I'm excited to review the older kiddos platform for Virtual Job Shadow today. So Ryan, the floor is yours. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Jessica. I really appreciate this opportunity. I hope everyone's doing well this morning. Like Jessica mentioned just a second ago, we will be reviewing a lot, but I certainly want to note that the system is very user-friendly. It's very easy to navigate. We'll just be kind of walking through the library of resources that the youth have access to through this platform and get into some admin tools here and there. There are some great resources that you all can use to review what we're covering today in the form of some help center articles, which I'll point out in just a second. So I did just want to briefly note that all of the stuff we cover, you can review and slowly start to master. Now, I want to get into just some basic login steps because that is the important first step. And I know from experience for the youth who have trouble logging in, if they run into some trouble right away, just getting to the platform, that can create some frustration and is one of the bigger barriers of entry. So it's very simple. When you go to virtualjobshadow.com on any browser, this can be through a computer or through a mobile device, smartphone, tablet, that sort of thing. You just come to our homepage. You can go to the blue login button in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. And here is, oh, actually, you won't see that. I apologize. You will see this view. This is actually where you want to search the name of your license. And we have all sorts of licenses here, different licenses for schools, workforce agencies. You all are under, if I just start typing in, if I can type this Monday morning. All right, Indiana Alliance. So a couple of things jumped up just by Indiana. I added that Alliance keyword and it comes in right here. So I'll click that item there in the drop-down menu. And I want to make sure this is listed here at the top of the page. just so I know this is indeed my login page. For you all, if this is not showing, it's not going to recognize your username and password. If for whatever reason you pull up the wrong page, feel free to just click not your school or organization right here, and it's going to bring you back to this interface where you can try to search for that again. I'm going to jump into my demo license here, and we can get into some of the fun stuff. So I am logged in here as an administrator or staff. This is essentially what you all will see when you log into the platform, but with the tools and the resources students will be using from this interface, it looks almost identical. We'll actually be navigating through the toolbar here at the top of the page. These first four things are all things that students have access to. And so we're going to kind of start there. Before we get to that, I did want to mention that Help Center that you all can access to review what we cover here today. And this Help Center, when I click that at the top of the page, it's really just a collection of how-to articles. If I click one, for example, it's going to just break down some step-by-step instructions, including screen caps, just breaking down the functionality of what you're going to see here today. So that's our Help Center. Now, let's go ahead and start out with the first item in the toolbar, and we'll just kind of move through step by step. We have our careers drop-down menu, and this is where you and the students can access Career Central. Career Central is really at the heart of our platform. This is our library of career profiles. We have over 400, the vast majority of which will have job shadowing videos associated with them. There's a lot of video content in our platform. That's kind of what we're known for. We actually travel all across the country on a regular basis to meet new professionals and bring a day in their life at their job to you all in the form of these career profiles and job shadowing videos. There are all sorts of ways to navigate Career Central here. We have some great filters here to the left-hand side of the page. We can search for careers based on keyword. Let's see. So if I do a keyword search detective, we will actually check out one of my favorite career profiles here, the detective career profile. So this career profile highlights Detective Jason Greer from the Washington State Patrol. Like many of our career profiles, we're going to see right away the job shadowing video playing in the background. In this case, this is where Detective Greer just walks us through what a day at his job is like, what it's going to take to succeed in this line of work, and essentially what he does. So these videos are closed captioned in both English and Spanish. We also have transcripts at the bottom of the job shadowing video in English and Spanish. Those just cover the dialogue within the video. If I scroll down even further on this main landing page, you'll see some Q&A videos. These are some additional videos where a professional will simply answer some questions about their work in an interview format. Now, the video content is great. We have on average about 10 minutes worth of video on every career profile, but that is certainly not all we have. I want to bring your attention here to the left-hand side of the page. We have all sorts of stuff here, such as a proper career description, a required education page. This is actually one of my favorite pages because not only does it go into the schooling and experience you need to enter this field, we also, if you scroll down here, go into some of the important qualities, soft skills, practical skills that anyone will want to master if they really want to succeed in this field. That actually will tie into a lot of the new life skills videos or life skills content in general that we have on the platform. We have earnings information, a future outlook page, talks about what this job will look like maybe 10 years out into the future. We have an additional links page, another one of my favorite tools here in career profiles, where students can actually check out other websites related to this profession to get a really good idea of what direction they can take this sort of career. We have all sorts of relevant links here, and even ONET pages, career one-stop pages, other great web-based resources that will help a student understand what this profession will look like and what they need to do to enter that field. We have a college search page. This will highlight essentially any school in a given state with a program specific to this career opportunity. We also have a job/internship search tool, and this actually ties into Indeed.com. It's a broader tool we'll look at a little bit later, but as it exists here in the career profiles, you can simply do a really handy just one-click search for job opportunities in your local area related to this field. And then finally, the related careers page. So with hundreds of career profiles here in this library, we want to really facilitate that more organic career exploration process. That's why this page is here. If we have a student who's maybe interested in the detective career, we actually have a lot of careers in this list that will have some similarities with the one we're looking at now. These may be other good careers that will be a good fit, essentially, with a student who's interested in this career profile. Now, a couple of great little artifacts we can have students complete, especially around careers they're really interested in, maybe their top 3, top 5 careers. I'd really encourage them to take a pop quiz. This is right here at the top of the page. It's just a really simple 5-question multiple choice quiz, kind of testing them on the content on that job shadowing video. And then a career journal where someone can kind of write out what they learned here in this career profile, maybe share their own thoughts. You see at the bottom, pros and cons of entering this field, and then they can rate their interest in this career profile. I know that reporting, tracking work students are doing here on the platform is really important. These 2 artifacts are fantastic ways to help build some additional documentation around just their career exploration process in general. And that actually brings me to the next item I want to stop at today, the life skills videos. So this is the option right at the bottom of the careers drop-down menu. This is a video library that covers subjects like social and emotional skills, networking, leadership, financial literacy, really a wide variety of topics that anyone will want to master regardless of what career path they may be pursuing. What I really like about these life skills videos is that they kind of connect to that required education page, the important qualities section that I pointed out just a second ago. Each video is just 1 or 2 minutes long, so they're very accessible, and they're going to help us kick off some of these career readiness conversations. Now, you may have noticed there are over 350 of these videos in this library, and we continuously add to this content. So I do want to note that my favorite way to kind of look into what I can tap into on a given day is think about what sort of subject I'm covering and just search for that term in the search box here. For example, if I am going to cover a topic around time management with one student, maybe a group of youth there, I can search that topic, and we have, it looks like 7 different videos that cover this subject in one way or another. We got a mix of, I think, some more basic time management subjects, a couple of like best practices while working from home videos, setting boundaries at work, some really good stuff here. I think this is a really good example of just the broad variety of subjects we tie into this video library. This content is a ton of fun. Now, moving on into the colleges drop-down menu, pretty basic stuff here. We have a college search tool here where you can search for schools based on name or keyword, or we have a variety of filters you can use to search for schools. I'll do a pretty broad search today just based on tuition. And this is an example of search results you may see. Now, we source data from all sorts of schools, everything from industry-specific trade schools to four-year universities. And if I jump into one of these entries, we actually have a ton of data in here. This is all sourced from the Integrated Post-Secondary Education Data System. It's going to give us information around student demographics, fees and financial aid information, going into even test score information and majors this school offers. If I scroll back to the top, you'll see links directly to this school's website. So it's a great way to explore the possibility of any post-secondary education if a student is interested in pursuing that pathway. I will note, just in about a month or so, you all will see a brand new tool here in the college's drop-down menu. That will be our scholarship and financial aid search tool. Now, going into the jobs drop-down menu, this is a really fun tool. This is going to be a great way to kind of introduce the youth to the process of searching for jobs, or even if they're old enough and they're interested in looking for an employment opportunity or maybe an apprenticeship or an internship. This is a tool that can help them facilitate that search. We actually link directly to Indeed.com's live job listings through these search tools. And the way that they work is pretty simple. So it is going to default to just the home city and state for that student. Here in my case, I'm based out of Asheville, North Carolina. And you'll just do a simple keyword search. We do have an advanced search filter here that basically matches the Indeed.com search filters. So you can certainly expand a search or narrow it down to just part-time jobs or just internships, for example. Let's do a very basic keyword search. I'll do a search term retail, and we'll run this search. All right, so we have a few basic job opportunity listings here. Some of these job ads are relatively new, so a couple of weeks old. All right, here's one that's just 4 days old. So let's click that. When you click the search result, you'll see it actually opens up a new tab in your job or in your browser to this job listing, and we can read about what this employer is looking for, compensation information. We can actually apply right here through Indeed.com. That student would just need an Indeed account, which of course they can sign up for free to do that. So that's a breakdown of our job search tool. You will see an internship search tool here as well. That is going to work exactly like this tool, only those search results will be specific to internship opportunities. And then finally, we have a WBL board page. And this is actually where you all can post job opportunities, internship opportunities, volunteer opportunities, maybe even career fairs. It's essentially a digital jobs board that you all have control over. You can create posts using that Manage Post button there at the top of the page. And then from the student's perspective, they will see whatever listings you create, kind of like these are showing up here. These are just a couple of examples of what that might look like. All right, and that's our jobs drop-down menu. Real quick, we'll move on to our tools drop-down menu, and we have our assessments tool. Now, this is one of my favorite places to kind of begin the career exploration journey. We have some different interest inventories here, surveys that a student can take to see how their interests relate to the world of work. And we'll actually introduce them to some jobs that will be a good fit for them based on their interests. Now, the first two surveys here are two different versions of our career cluster interest surveys. They're almost identical. The second one here is just slightly shorter. Otherwise, they're going to be measuring the same thing, how someone's interests relate to our database of 17 career clusters. What sort of industries, essentially, does that student align with based on their interests? Next, we have our ONET Interest Profiler. That's going to be a survey that actually links the student to what is called the Hollins-Reisek Interest Index. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. Finally, we have the ONET Work Importance Locator, and that's a survey that'll help us identify our work values, essentially what's most important to us in the workplace. Now, each survey will include an introduction, some sample questions to get everyone started. As you can see, you can take some of these as many times as you'd like. You don't have to finish them all in one sitting. You can just stop where you are. It's saved automatically and come back and continue whenever you're ready. But I think where this tool really shines is from the results pages, which you can access right here off the platform. I'll just click this blue results button. And I wanted to share today my results for the ONET Interest Profiler here. These are the 6 Hollins-Reisek interest types that you will be measured against essentially with this particular survey. And I have my score to the right. Essentially, the higher the score, the higher the alignment between my interests and these various results. I can also read a little bit about what each result means here. But more importantly, and this actually works the same way with every single survey we have in the platform, I can click one of my results. Here's my very top result, the enterprising section. And it's going to bring me back to Career Central under a specific filter based on that result I just chose. So here in this case, I chose the enterprising personality type under the RISEC index. And the enterprising section here in Career Central is hosting all sorts of careers across a variety of different industries that will be a good fit for me based on the results of that survey. And this is what I mean when I say this is a great place to begin that career exploration journey. We're going to be matching a student to all sorts of careers that match their interests. And we're going to kind of help them discover a little bit about themselves, I think. So it's one of my favorite tools, something I would certainly encourage you all to go and play around with. If you haven't taken one of these assessments before, definitely jump in. They're a ton of fun. All right, getting into our resume and cover letter builder tool, we certainly believe it's never too early to begin working on these sorts of things, but definitely by middle school, a student is going to want to start exploring building out at the very least a resume. And both of these kind of building interfaces work the exact same way, regardless of what document you're working on at any given time. We focus solely on the content. Let me jump into the resume builder just to show you. We have here a series of boxes, and each box essentially represents a different section within your survey, or I'm sorry, within your resume. And each section has a quick tip. And these are just little prompts that we can hover over with our mouse to get an idea of what exactly we put into these sections. And some of these prompts are really detailed. We try to give everyone a good head start with some of this information. And just to show you a couple of my favorite examples of that, in the cell phone section, we say, don't just put your cell phone number in there. Make sure when you are applying to jobs that you have a professional voicemail set up, that your voicemail box isn't full. When you have an email address, we remind that person not to include any questionable language in their email address that may turn off an employer. Little tips like that to set your students up for success. I do want to note something that is brand new that we added this summer are samples. We've included links to samples at both the top of our resume and cover letter builder. When I click the blue samples button here, you will see a variety of grade-specific examples of, so open that up, resumes, cover letters, job applications, thank you letters. We even have examples all the way to, what an adult's resume and cover letter may look like here. And I'm actually pretty happy to see this. This is actually brand new. They must have added this over the weekend. To be perfectly honest, last week we just had this stuff, and I think maybe this one line item under the adult examples. So we've really expanded this, and it's a great example of where we're always adding more stuff to the platform. We're always building value into these tools. Each of these examples are incredible. We have some for students as young as 7th grade. We can go in and check out what a resume would look like for that sort of person at this age, where there's going to be a heavier focus on some of their education, skills, and interests versus obviously concrete work experience. All right, so that's our resume and cover letter. We do have a post-secondary plan tool here. This is a pretty simple tool, but a great way to identify a student's long-term education plans. If that's something you simply just want to document, this is a great tool for that, where they can go in and identify their long-term education plans, as well as their top 3 school choices if they're interested in a post-secondary education, and their top 3 career choices if they want to identify that. And it's really as simple as that. Finally, we have a goal setting tool here at the bottom. And very straightforward, a student can go in, We'll introduce them to the concept of short-term versus long-term goals, and they can create their own. It's a great writing exercise here. Each goal will include a name. They'll write out a nice description for each goal, and they can create as many as they'd like. Now that will actually kind of conclude the student portion of our presentation today. Let's move on into the admin drop-down menu here, where we are going to hit a couple of the more important tools actually for this team here. Let's start out with the Manage Users page. Now, managing users is incredibly important, and the most important thing around this tool is just making sure that the youth that are kind of at your location that are working with this platform, that they have accounts, that they have usernames and passwords that they can use to access their own profiles here in the platform. Now, I want to talk a little bit about how to set those up. There are two ways you can set up a new student account. Now, you'll see on this page, the Manage Users page, a yellow Add Account button here. When I click that, it's going to bring up actually a very simple form that you just fill out. And once it's filled out, you'll click Create Account. That way you can create a student's account one at a time. And that's certainly a good option if you maybe have just a small handful, like 3 to 5 different students. If you have upwards of like 12 or more students and you don't really have the time to create them one by one, I would really encourage you all to take advantage of the bulk upload tool. This blue button right here will bring up this pop-up window where you can download a spreadsheet and simply fill that spreadsheet out based on the information we need for a student. Now, really just to create a student account, we need their names and then a username and password for them. It's really as simple as that. So there are some other fields in here that are optional, but it's not a super time-consuming process. I know from location to location, it can vary how you all kind of track this sort of information. Maybe it's something that can be easily pulled out in a spreadsheet format from your database. Maybe it's something you'll need to go into even like a daily physical sign-in sheet to collect this sort of information. Either way, whatever we can do to make this as easy as possible for you all, please let me and Jessica know. Just to give you an idea of what this spreadsheet looks like, I actually have one available. So this is that spreadsheet that you'll download, and you'll see each column essentially represents a different metric that we can use to set up an account. Again, for youth accounts, for student accounts, we just need these 4 rows and we're good to go. I'll also note on the same spreadsheet, you will see a definitions tab here at the bottom, and each column is given a little bit of a definition if you want a good idea of what each metric represents here on the first page. So that's the bulk upload process. Now, if you have a student with an account and they're having trouble logging in, I would suggest go ahead and just look them up here on the Manage Users page. Let's see, I am just going to look up one of my students here as an example. You can look someone up by their first and last name, and you can see their info here. I see Patricia does have an account. Here's her username. If she's having trouble logging in, the thing I'm going to go to right away is just the password. I'll just change her password real quick, go ahead and reset that, have her try logging in again. About 99 times out of 100, that's going to fix the problem right away. All right, so that is a breakdown of the Manage Users page. Let's see, let's go ahead and jump right to the Groups tool in the admin drop-down menu next. Now, the Groups tool is, I think, going to be pretty important for you all because if you aren't aware, we have the entire statewide agency's group of users living all under one umbrella. So you may want to organize a group, which I'll show you how to do in just a second, to easily track the students at your particular location. So I'm going to just go to Create Group here to start. And let's just give it a generic title here that we'll put the Asheville, North Carolina office. And I'll create this group. All right, so we have a nice long list here of all the different users under this license. So one thing to note, if you don't have a group created and you go in and you start running reports or you start assigning flex lessons, two things we'll see in just a minute here. This entire list is going to include every single user across the state. That can be a lot to weed through. This is where the group comes in handy. So let's say I just have a few students I want to start organizing in this group right away. These are maybe 3 students I'm going to work with in a group on a given day. Let's go ahead and add those to the Asheville, North Carolina office group. I went ahead and just clicked their names there on that list. We created this group. All right, that's perfect. Let's go back to the main groups landing page. This is a table of all the groups I've created in the past, and here's that one we just created. Now, if some new students come to my location and I want to make sure they are added to the group, we set up their accounts. Let's go in and edit this group again. And so you're going to see that nice long list populate right away. And you just simply go in and find any new people that need to be added to that group. You can edit these groups in real time. You can add new students. You can remove students. All of that stuff you can take care of right here through the groups interface. So this is something that will certainly save you all a lot of time and something I really encourage you all to play around with. All right, so we're going to see a group in action here in just a second. We're going to run an example report. Now here on the reports page in your drop-down menu is probably going to be honestly the most important part of the platform for you all. Again, tracking your students' work in this platform and being able to document what they're doing on the platform is going to be super important so that folks like Jessica and I know that people are getting a lot of good use out of the platform here. And I can't stress this enough. Absolutely everything students are doing on the platform, it can be tracked and it can be documented through this tool. Now, what you're looking at here is really just a series of drop-down menus, different filters that we can use to run reports. Now, I want to point out the most important filters here. The first, of course, is the type of report we're going to run. It's going to default to this user overview report. But when I open up this menu, you can see all sorts of stuff we've already looked at during our training today. You can track assessment results, pop quizzes they complete as part of their career profiles, resumes and cover letters they build. You can even watch or track what exact videos they are watching here. You can get very detailed in these reports. Now, the user overview report is actually something we will run today as our example. The rest of the filters are pretty simple. We have date range filters, grade filters if you're assigning students to different grades, or just first and last name or username if you want to look up a single student. The groups filter is something we're going to leave alone right now. I do want to show you how that's used in just a second. Let's go ahead and run this generic report. All right, so we are actually looking at over 80 different results for this report. This is a lot of students. I don't necessarily work with each and every one of these students, so this is a case where I want to take advantage of a group I have built. So we have a group here. This is my career exploration class. It's a small group of just 4 students. Let's run this identical report using the group filter here. All right, so we're going to run that same exact report using the group filter. All right, so this is much more manageable. This is just the 4 students I work with. I can see how much time they've spent on the website, career profiles they've viewed, videos they've watched. And I want to show you one more little trick about this tool. In the upper right-hand corner, you can see a waffle icon. That waffle icon is something that I can open to get a drop-down menu of some additional metrics I can track in these reports. In this user overview report, I can actually turn on literally every single tool we have looked at today. I can see how many of these tools they're interacting with, and maybe what tools they could be using a little bit more. Now, this reports tool It may look a little bit complicated right now if this is your first time seeing it. I promise you it's super easy to use, and it's one of those tools I really encourage you all to just get some hands-on practice with, jump in, see what sort of data you can track already. And if there's ever any time you're having trouble locating some data, please reach out to my team. You can actually reach us right here. At the bottom of every page, you'll find our customer service contact information, and they're available via phone or email Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern. All right, now the very last thing I want to point out is the Flex Lessons tool. Now, I will note this is probably the most comprehensive tool here in the platform. So I'm just going to kind of go over the basics and give you the big picture. The Flex Lesson tool is our curriculum builder. It's where you can build out a series of activities to give your students some direction of what exactly they need to do on the platform. You can have them go view a video playlist you build, for example, or maybe have them go build a resume or take an assessment. You can also build in your own custom quizzes. You can build your own custom survey. You can have them write out a response to their interest survey, for example. All of that stuff you can do here and much, much more. But what I want to give you an idea of, at least for today, if there's nothing else you leave about knowing about the Flex Lesson tool other than this, it's totally fine. The VJS lessons here. Now I'm going to jump to this lesson filter here. I have all sorts of stuff in this particular library. I have lessons I built. These are my lessons. I have lessons my colleagues have built and decided to share with me under this shared lessons section. And then we have these VJS lessons. And these are all lessons that we've designed here in-house for your students. They cover a variety of career readiness subjects. So a lot of soft skills, practical skills, life skills. We have things like lessons around building a cover letter or building your resume. Let's see, scrolling down, we have critical thinking, a lesson all about handling constructive criticism or setting goals. One of my favorites, a very simple introduction to virtualjobshadow.com lesson. There they'll get a quick 5-minute tour of the platform and they'll go and run some example searches. There is tons and tons of stuff in here. We have over 50 different lessons that you can actually send out to your students right away. Let's just quickly note how to get an idea from your perspective of how to access these. In each of these lessons, each one is essentially represented by a card here. You'll see the preview button. And that's that little eyeball icon. I can click that. And this is what it looks like to walk through a student's perspective of a lesson. This particular lesson includes things like a quick video and then a writing response after that video. There's a reading exercise here. We actually conclude with a couple of partner activities. So there's group works built into here. This is just one small example of the many different types of lessons we built out. So please feel free to explore this section. And we have some great Help Center articles that will break down how exactly to assign these lessons. You can track your students' work. You can even grade these different assignments if that's something you're even interested in doing. But there is some amazing content here that you can send out to your students just to keep them busy, have something for them to do while they are working on the platform. And this is certainly something we can take a deeper dive into later on in the year. Jessica and I actually meet on a regular basis, but this is, like I mentioned, a pretty comprehensive tool. If you're ready to dive right into it, I'd say go ahead. But otherwise, mastering the rest of the platform may be a bit more important here in the early stages if you are brand new to our system. Now, the last thing I want to point out is actually right at the very bottom of the admin drop-down menu. We have a curriculum tool. Now, for those of you who want to get really creative with any sort of lesson plan building or activity building, these are going to be some areas where you can access some pretty cool content. We have many lessons here. These are different career and college readiness lessons that we have designed. Some of these will include activities here on the platform for sure, but also things that will be done in in-person group settings, games, group discussions, activities, quizzes, essays, all sorts of stuff we've built into these different lesson plans. And we also have geo inquiries here. This is actually a library of lesson plans that is a little different from what we cover in the rest of our platform. These are simply just lessons around history subjects, biology, math, science, all sorts of fun stuff that you can tap into here. Again, while it's different from a lot of our platform in terms of it's not directly related to career and college readiness, there's really a wealth of great academic information in this curriculum page. I'd encourage you to check it out if you're curious. All right, so I've been talking for probably the better part of the last 40 minutes or so. I'm going to put the brakes on my portion of the presentation and open the floor up for questions. If you all have any questions or want to see something again here, please feel free to jump in to the chat box or simply just unmute yourself and let me know if you have a question. All right, and it looks like we do have one question in the chat from Marina. Is the username assigned or do we need to create it? And are we creating it? As we're creating it, is there a specific format we need to follow? Those are both really great questions. I will note that usernames have to be unique. Every user across the state, they need to have a unique username. A lot of times, especially for older students, emails can be okay, though I know even with high schoolers out there, they are in a very bad habit of creating tons and tons of different emails. And that can change pretty quickly from day to day. Maybe starting out with something like a first name dot last name style of username. What that naming convention looks like, it really, I think, will depend on what works best for that user, that student, and what they can remember. And then how just to differentiate them across the thousands of other users that will be in the platform across the state. So keep that in mind. And I do want to note while we're talking about login credentials, passwords can be identical. Passwords do not need to be unique like the usernames.
And if your club or organization is in need of a username to utilize the Virtual Job Shadow platform, just send me an email and let me know and I can create that for you. It is different than the Virtual Job Shadow Junior login information that we have previously provided. So sometimes when we enrolled you into the system, you would identify that you wanted enrolled in both, so you have both accounts. But if you're not sure, just let me know. And if you want access to the older account, the Virtual Job Shadow, again, that is separate than the junior account we created a couple weeks ago. So just send me an email and I can get that for you. Any other questions for Ryan? I love the additional resources that you guys have continued to add to the platform. I think the scholarship and college search is just an absolutely phenomenal tool to have at our resource, especially when so many of our clubs are in the position to really help youth utilize different resources to experience what could come next after high school. And I think this is just another innovative way to do that, but also to tie in that knowledge needed to that career or pathways. So I really hope that our sites will utilize that function. And scholarships too. I mean, that's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, as folks are maybe considering any questions they may have today, I do want to let you all know this certainly isn't the only time all year that we'll be able to do something like this. I mentioned briefly, Jessica and I meet on a very regular basis to talk about how you all are doing, what sort of feedback you've sent her so far. And these sorts of opportunities, whether we're doing an overview again, or if we're diving into a particular tool and talking about best practices and mastering that particular tool, that's something that we can certainly do anytime. And if questions do come up, please feel free to send them over to Jessica. We have our customer service contact information I mentioned earlier in the website. And they are also very quick to get back to questions, usually a lot quicker than even I can be to get back to general questions.
All right, well, as Ryan said, if you can think of, Stephanie is typing in a question, so that's great. We can be patient and wait. But as she's doing that, if you think of any questions, you have any concerns, or if you need some clarification, definitely let me know and I can make sure that I convey that to Ryan when we meet next week. Or actually, I think Friday of this week is when we meet again. So
very nice.
Hey, Jessica, it's Marina. Are we getting the recording after this webinar?
yep, so I will put the recording on Dropbox or on our YouTube channel. They're in both places. And then that way it's available. It usually just takes about an hour or two for me to get it uploaded. And then I do see Stephanie's question about there is a separate login for Virtual Job Shadow and Virtual Job Shadow Junior. I can make it the same login credentials and what have you. You just need to email me and let me know. And I have to create 2 separate accounts. So yes, 2 different logins. Let me know if you need one. And then as always, our hot topic session will be uploaded to Dropbox and also on our YouTube channel sometime before the end of the day. And I'd love to hear you guys' feedback. If you guys start utilizing the program, definitely let me know if you like it, if you're struggling with it or what have you. That way we can make sure we provide you the resources and the training and the assistance that's needed to really allow the youth to excel in this platform.
I'll also note, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I need the recording, so I can train multiple staff, because I see opportunity using this platform with the Indiana kids, with 21st Century, with the Youth of the Year program. So there's a lot of content on it, and it's really, really good organized. I love it.
No, and I think that brings a good point, Marina, because so often it's like, oh, it's college and career readiness. So it's a college session or a career session, but really it goes into that workforce development. It can go into homework assistance because it's academic enrichment. I mean, it can really go into 21st century programming. I love that so many of you are thinking Youth of the Year, because that is just really thinking outside of that box. And that is exactly what we hope this platform will allow you to do, is build those innovative programming elements to enhance what we're already doing, but utilizing such an easy to navigate and resourceful tool such as Virtual Job Shadow. And I mean, the biggest complaint for the Indiana Kids programming is all the tracking. Well, the neat thing about both of the platforms that Ryan has offered to us is that the tracking is done for you. So it really helps administratively as well.
And I was going to say, if there's anyone here, once you start using the platform, if you have some suggestions about how we can make it better, I would say probably about 85 to 90% of what we shared with you today, they're all things that our partners have requested from us. And we have a full development team that is constantly improving our platform and adding new stuff to it. And we want to, hear about what you want to see, whether it's a new tool or some careers that we are missing in our career profile library, or maybe life skills videos. All of that stuff we take and feed directly to our content team, and that helps them get a good direction of what they should work on next. Well, Jessica, I think if there aren't any more questions, please feel free to have folks reach out to me via email if they need something, if something comes up. But yeah, I think we're good to go. The great next step will just be to have people jump in and get some practice while this information is still fresh.
All right, I appreciate it, Ryan. I look forward to continuing our conversation later this week. And as Ryan said, guys, if you need anything, please don't be hesitant to reach out.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, guys.